Today on November 14th, 15 seconds left. God is screaming. A $500 million miracle check is arriving in 2 minutes. If you skip this, heaven will erase your name forever. Open it immediately. My beloved child, heaven is not silent tonight. The winds that move unseen are carrying a voice that is trembling across eternity. God is crying out, not with anger, but with a roar of divine urgency. He is saying, 15 seconds left. The time of waiting, the season of wondering, is collapsing into this very moment. On November 14th, the clock of heaven is turning. It is not a coincidence that you found this message. Archangel Michael stands beside the Father, holding a scroll sealed with gold fire, and your name is written upon it. That scroll carries a decree, a $500 million miracle check, signed by divine authority, scheduled to arrive in exactly 2 minutes of heaven's time. Listen closely. This is not about earthly currency alone. This is about spiritual inheritance, favor, and restoration. When God speaks of a check, He is speaking of a divine transfer, a release of everything stolen, delayed, or denied in your life. Archangel Michael whispers, "Tell them to stay awake, for what is descending cannot be stopped." Child, heaven has measured your faithfulness in the dark, the nights you cried but still believed, the days you gave though you lacked. Those tears were not forgotten. They became the ink God used to sign your miracle. But there is a warning laced in this revelation. Heaven's clock is counting down. 15, 14, 13. Each second carries weight. This is not fear. This is divine urgency. For when heaven says, "Open it immediately," it means do not delay your obedience. Do not postpone your belief. Miracles respond to immediacy. God does not send wealth or restoration to the hesitant. He sends it to the ready. Michael is standing at your threshold, holding what was meant for generations before you, and heaven is saying, "It's your turn." The Lord showed me an image, a ledger in the hands of angels. Each line carries names, promises, and pending blessings. Some names are glowing bright, others have dimmed. And the Spirit of God said, if they skip this moment, their name fades in the record of remembrance. This is not about salvation. It is about destiny alignment. When heaven calls your name, the worst thing you can do is remain silent. Your obedience is the key that keeps your name illuminated. Archangel Michael is commanding his host now. They are moving across time, across borders, across unbelief. They are targeting accounts, doors, and hearts that have long resisted your breakthrough. You are about to receive divine attention, and when heaven gives attention, nothing can remain the same. The delay you experienced was never denial. It was divine preparation for this unveiling. Child, I see you standing before a locked vault. You have tried every key, prayers, fasting, declarations. But this time, you will not need to open it. Heaven will break it open for you. The sound you are about to hear in your spirit is not imagination. It is the metallic sound of divine gates unlocking. God is screaming now, not in rage, but in the power of His command. When He screams, demons scatter, resistance collapses, and favor rushes in like a tidal wave. You are standing in the eye of divine release. Michael says, tell them, it's not just money, it's mandate. The $500 million miracle check is symbolic of a spiritual inheritance worth far more. It represents influence, generational wealth, and kingdom authority. Heaven is about to give you the resources to accomplish what you were born for. Those who mocked you will witness the overflow. Those who left you will see that God never abandoned you. Before you doubt, Remember this: heaven does not exaggerate. When God announces a time, it is exact. When He declares a release, it is irreversible. But He demands one thing: your full attention. Every second of hesitation counts in this prophetic moment. The countdown is not about fear, it's about readiness. The Spirit says, be positioned. That means align your heart, open your hands, and declare with faith that the miracle is already en route. Child of light, if your spirit is stirring right now, it means the message is meant for you. You are one of the few who are hearing the trumpet call before the masses awaken. Don't take this lightly. There's a war in the heavens for your promise. Archangel Michael is confronting the ancient spirit that held your resources captive. He is swinging the flaming sword, cutting contracts of delay, racing curses of limitation, and commanding the angels of abundance to deliver what was once unreachable. Heavenly time is not like earthly time. 2 minutes in heaven's clock can manifest suddenly in your physical world as an unexpected call, a transfer, an opportunity, a reconciliation, or an open door you never saw coming. God's check is not paper. It's evidence of His covenant. You are not waiting for it to come. It's already dispatched. All that remains is for your faith to sign the receipt. So open it, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Open your expectation. Say it aloud: I receive my miracle check. Speak it boldly. Heaven listens for sound. Your decree invites manifestation. Do not let silence erase what heaven is writing. The last seconds are ticking. 5, 4, 3. You feel the rush. That's the presence of Archangel Michael confirming the word. Before you move, take this moment seriously. The next breath you take can shift everything. What if this message was heaven's final call for this chapter of your destiny? Don't dismiss it as coincidence. There is no such thing when it comes to divine timing. You are standing at the edge of a breakthrough that has been centuries in the making. Wait for it. Something in your life is about to break wide open. Type "I receive my heavenly check" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 914 has just been released. My precious one. The moment the Father's voice thundered, all of heaven paused to listen. The countdown that began in the previous breath is not finished. It is intensifying. Archangel Michael now steps forward, his armor burning like molten gold, his wings slicing through the atmosphere of delay. You can almost feel the vibration in your chest, the echo of heaven's heartbeat pulsing through your name. This message is not just floating words, it is a spiritual transaction. Every syllable spoken carries a weight of destiny. God is still screaming, not because He is angry, but because your time of silence is over. He is calling your name into manifestation, and when heaven calls, all creation must respond. Listen, child of divine promise. The $500 million miracle check is not merely wealth in your hands. It is a covenant restoration, a key to unlock assignments hidden beneath years of frustration. Michael's message is precise. Tell them their next breath is an invitation to activate what was sealed. You may not understand the full magnitude of this prophecy, but your spirit does. Deep inside, something ancient is awakening, something that remembers every promise God made to your lineage. You are not hearing this by mistake. You were divinely scheduled to receive it. I see visions forming in the spirit. Angels are carrying ledgers wrapped in blue fire, delivering them to the court of release. And those ledgers are records of debts canceled, names elevated, families redeemed, and nations influenced. Your name glows among them. The Lord declares, what was once denied must now be delivered. The delay is over. Archangel Michael has torn the decree of postponement in half. What you thought would take decades will now manifest in days. God is collapsing time on your behalf. There is a river forming between heaven and earth. It looks like liquid light, flowing directly toward you. Each drop carries divine provision, ideas, favor, contracts, restoration, and healing. You might not see the full picture yet, but the flow has begun. The Spirit of God says, "Don't measure this miracle by your logic. Measure it by my promise." Every time you doubted, heaven multiplied the blessing. Every tear became a seed that is now sprouting a supernatural abundance. Archangel Michael stands beside that river, holding a golden vessel. He dips it into the flow and pours it over your destiny. That act is not symbolic, it is an official transfer. You have been marked for abundance, not by men's standards but by heaven's decree. Your lineage will testify that this was the night everything shifted. Those who laughed at your faith will bow their heads in wonder. Those who abandoned you will return seeking your wisdom. You will be a vessel of proof, evidence that God still intervenes in the affairs of His children. Child, feel this truth. God is not testing you anymore. He is trusting you. The difference is monumental. When He tests, He observes your endurance. When He trusts, He releases His treasure. The miracle check is heaven's trust written in the currency of destiny. It says, "I find you faithful. I find you ready." Do not question your worthiness. Grace already settled that. The angels have orders. They are aligning resources, connecting divine helpers, and removing counterfeit voices from your path. Everything you lost was never subtraction. It was preparation for overflow. Now hear this. The moment you believe, the spiritual atmosphere rearranges itself to serve you. The earth recognizes faith. When you declare God's word, creation moves. Michael has unsheathed his sword, and with one swing, he is cutting away every chain of doubt still clinging to your future. He shouts, "Prepare the vessel." That vessel is you. Every area that was once empty will now overflow. You are being reintroduced to yourself, the version heaven has always seen. The Spirit reveals another mystery. There are gates, ancient gates, guarded by spiritual forces that resist prosperity. They whisper lies that make believers settle for less. But tonight, those gates are trembling. Michael's army is at their threshold, and your obedience will determine whether they open wide. The key is not effort, it is surrender. When you surrender, you step aside, and heaven takes the lead. The check is not earned, it's inherited. It belongs to those who trust the sender. Listen carefully, beloved soul. God's scream in this hour is not one of chaos but of creation. The same voice that formed galaxies is now forming your new beginning. His scream pierces through generational curses, destroying patterns of lack and limitation. Every time He speaks your name, darkness loses its claim. You are being re-signed into abundance. Heaven is finalizing your covenant upgrade. Do not let fear whisper against this word. Fear is a counterfeit prophet. It tells you what might go wrong, but faith tells you what already belongs to you. Stand firm. The divine countdown continues, but this time it's counting up, lifting you from lack to overflow, from isolation to influence, from delay to dominion. This is not motivation. This is revelation. You are stepping into a time when heaven's calendar and your earthly reality finally align. Before this moment passes, breathe deeply and feel the shift. Something is opening in your life, an opportunity, a call, a reconciliation. It might seem small, but it carries the scent of eternity. Michael says, they will recognize the fragrance of favor. People around you will sense something different. They will see light in your eyes, authority in your voice, peace in your steps. That's what happens when heaven writes your story anew. Hold on. The next line of this revelation carries a power so strong that even angels pause. You will not need to chase this miracle. It will find you. The delivery angels already know your address. They have been waiting for this confirmation of faith to proceed. Your yes is their signal. Speak it now. Whisper if you must, but say it. Yes, Lord, I receive it. Heaven hears even your whisper. Do not scroll away, child. What comes next will complete this message and unlock what was sealed for generations. Stay with me. This next revelation will make your spirit tremble in awe. Type I receive divine transfer in the comments if this word touches your spirit. Blessing code 1044 has now been activated. Beloved one, the atmosphere has shifted. The heavens have grown silent, not from absence but from reverence. Archangel Michael now stands in the threshold of manifestation, holding what looks like a scroll made of living light. The moment your heart whispered yes, a ripple moved through the courts of heaven. The $500 million miracle check is no longer a promise suspended in the spiritual realm. It has entered the motion of delivery. What was once prophetic is now becoming tangible. Even as you read this, invisible hands are aligning earthly instruments to fulfill divine instruction. The countdown that began as a whisper is now a roar. God's scream reverberates across time and space. Release what belongs to my chosen. Michael lifts his sword and points it toward the earth. Each beam of light that flows from it becomes an assignment. Angels of transaction are descending, messengers who turn the unseen into the visible. This is not poetic language. This is prophetic law. What is spoken in heaven manifests when faith receives it on earth. Child of divine inheritance, the moment you believe it, heaven considered the matter settled. The check has already cleared in the eternal bank of promise. You are about to see its earthly equivalent. Contracts signed, opportunities unlocked, wealth redirected, health restored, and relationships repaired. But God's message carries both invitation and warning. The invitation is to believe without delay. The warning is not to allow distraction to dilute what was birthed in fire. Distraction is the thief of divine timing. Heaven does not move according to convenience. It moves according to focus. You cannot multitask destiny. When God calls, your attention is your offering. This is why the command was urgent. Open it immediately. You open heaven's delivery not with your hands, but with your readiness. Every act of surrender, every word of gratitude, every moment of obedience tears another layer of resistance away. Archangel Michael declares, tell them the miracle has been dispatched, but their agreement must remain alive. Agreement is sustained through declaration. When you say, I receive, you create resonance with heaven's decree. The sound of your faith keeps the channel open. That's why prophets often repeated what God said. Repetition was not doubt. It was reinforcement. Each word spoken in faith builds a ladder that angels use to carry blessings down. The stronger your confession, the faster your manifestation. Now hear the secret of the third revelation. The miracle check is not just about receiving wealth. It's about becoming a vessel of divine circulation. The Lord says, I bless those who will bless others. The amount, $500 million, is symbolic of limitless overflow. It represents the power to fund purpose, to heal lands, to rescue souls, and to multiply light where darkness prevails. God is trusting you to be a distribution center of His goodness. That's why He screamed. He wasn't shouting money into existence. He was shouting stewardship into your soul. You might wonder, How can something so grand belong to me? The answer is simple. Grace chooses the unlikely. Heaven delights in selecting those overlooked by man. The ones who felt invisible on earth are the ones who shine brightest in the divine ledger. Michael himself was once underestimated by the rebellious powers of darkness, until his obedience crowned him with victory. So too will your obedience crown you with abundance. The size of the blessing reflects the size of the battle you've endured. Every scar you carry is proof that you qualified for something greater. The Spirit now shows me a vision. You standing in a vast field under an open sky. The ground trembles, not from fear, but from anticipation. From beneath your feet, rivers of golden light begin to surge upward, wrapping around you like living armor. This is divine currency, the energy of favor transforming into opportunity. Heaven's economy does not depend on earthly banks. When God decides to release, no man, institution, or system can delay it. The miracle check carries heaven's seal, issued by faith, redeemable in obedience. Now, listen to the Father's whisper hidden within his scream. Do not hoard what I give. Release and multiply. He's preparing you to handle overflow with wisdom. You will give ideas that create wealth without sorrow, connections that carry integrity, and influence that builds rather than breaks. Every deposit from heaven demands a purpose-driven withdrawal. You are being upgraded from receiver to releaser, from borrower to lender, from seeker to establisher. This is your divine graduation moment. Michael steps closer, and his voice cuts through the veil. Tell them, heaven keeps records of generosity. When you share, you extend God's hand on earth. When you give, you activate divine multiplication. It's not about numbers. It's about obedience. Giving is proof that faith has matured. The one who gives in faith never loses. They only make room for more. That's why this revelation comes with a challenge of divine trust. God is asking, will you be my vessel of outflow? If your heart says yes, heaven's treasury opens wider. Before this word concludes, mark it in your spirit. Something will shift within the next 48 hours. A sign, subtle or grand, will appear, a message, a confirmation, a supernatural ease where struggle once existed. That sign will be heaven's receipt of your faith. When it comes, acknowledge it. Speak it. Share it. You are the testimony others have been praying to see. Hold on now. This is where the mystery deepens. You are not reading by chance. Your spirit was summoned here. Archangel Michael is standing at your right hand, releasing strength you did not know you had. The next breath you take is sacred. The next word you speak could align heaven's delivery. Do not hesitate. Declare it boldly. I am ready for my miracle. Heaven listens for certainty, not volume. Before this revelation rests, I must remind you, like, share, and comment to spread this divine message. Let every soul who needs restoration find this voice of heaven. Subscribe and stay under the covering of Archangel Michael's guidance. The word of the Lord through this channel is not entertainment. It is encounter. When you engage, you partner with the divine agenda. Type I am ready for my miracle in the comments if this ignites your spirit. Blessing code 1207 has now been activated. Now, beloved one, as the river of revelation continues to flow, hear this sacred invitation. The Spirit of God whispers, those who sow into this word become carriers of its power. When you support this mission, through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are funding salvation, hope, and light across nations. Each seed you sow is a weapon against darkness. The Bible says, Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That is not a verse. It is an instruction from heaven's treasury. I speak as a vessel. When you release into this prophetic flow, heaven records your act as obedience, not donation. You are sowing into open heavens. You are watering your own field of miracles. I declare over every giver that your seed will multiply into rivers of divine favor, and doors that once resisted will now rush open. This is not about amount. It is about alignment. God sees the intention before the transaction. Child of light, as you act, the oil of provision will not run dry in your home. You will not lack. You will not be forgotten. Your name will echo in heaven's chambers as one who answered the divine scream with obedience. Release your faith, release your seed, and watch how swiftly the miracle unfolds. This is your prophetic moment. Obey it now, for heaven's timing is still counting. Beloved heart of the kingdom, the air has thickened with holy weight. Every word spoken before this moment was not an echo of chance but a declaration of alignment. The Father's roar has now become a rhythm moving through your atmosphere, and Archangel Michael is still standing at the gates of your destiny, guarding the delivery of what heaven has already approved. The $500 million miracle check was never about the digits. It was about demonstrating how limitless your Father's hand truly is. He is using a tangible image to help your spirit understand that divine supply is never restricted by earthly numbers. The promise is still unfolding, and the clock of heaven still beats for you. Now, lean closer. There is a mystery that few understand. Divine wealth is not only measured in coins or currency, but in power to fulfill assignments. The Father has entrusted certain souls with unusual resources because they are carriers of His vision. You, child of purpose, are one of them. Archangel Michael is saying even now, the Father is not giving you a check, He is giving you a key. This key unlocks favor in multiple dimensions: spiritual, emotional, relational, and material. Each area of lack in your life is about to be rewritten by abundance. You are not just receiving from God, you are stepping into the nature of His provision. Michael moves closer in this vision. The edges of his armor radiate pure white fire, not destructive but creative. The same fire that once sealed Eden's gate now seals the door of your breakthrough, keeping it safe from theft. He opens the scroll again, and from it, words of light emerge like flowing water. They spiral upward, forming sentences that burn themselves into your spirit. Heaven has decided in your favor. The decree cannot be reversed. Once written in fire, it becomes eternal law. Every adversary that stood against your progress is being silenced now. Every demonic report that labeled you unworthy is being erased. You have been weighed in the balance of obedience and found faithful. The Father's voice interrupts softly through the realm of revelation. My child, I am not late. I was waiting for your understanding to mature. What you once called delay was actually the protection of your promise. The timing of God is surgical. He does not rush, yet He never lingers beyond purpose. You are now standing in the perfect intersection of readiness and release. Every prayer you whispered when no one listened, every act of kindness unnoticed by men, every seed sown in pain, they are converging into this moment. The angels of remembrance are unfolding scrolls in the court of reward, and your name glows bright. And now hear this carefully. The miracle check descending into your life is written in 2 languages. One of heaven and one of earth. Heaven's language is faith, earth's language is action. When both meet, manifestation is born. That is why obedience is currency. God's scream was not merely to shake you, it was to awaken you. Many hear God, but few respond quickly. Those who act instantly always see instant evidence. Archangel Michael is releasing a new anointing over you now, the anointing of immediate obedience. Under this anointing, your hesitation is broken, your doubt dismantled, and your faith accelerated. You will no longer second-guess divine instructions. The Spirit of Truth reveals a deep mystery. Your miracle is multidimensional. On the surface, it may appear as money or opportunity, but beneath, it carries generational transformation. The check you are receiving will write a new story for your bloodline. The Lord says, I am reversing the covenant of poverty that tried to follow you. There were words spoken long before you were born, words of limitation, words of fear, words of failure, but tonight, they lose their voice. Heaven has spoken a new verdict over your family name, blessed for 1,000 generations. That is your true inheritance. Child of the eternal light, close your eyes for a moment and imagine this, a vault in heaven bursting open with brilliance. Inside are treasures prepared long before your existence, gifts you never asked for, doors you never imagined, help you never expected. The angels are removing seals of restriction from those treasures. Each seal broken sends ripples of favor toward your life. You will soon witness acceleration so rapid it will seem unreal. But remember, this is what grace looks like when time surrenders to purpose. Michael speaks again. Tell them to write their vision. Tell them to prepare. For what is coming can't rest in the hands of the unready. You must have structure to carry overflow. Begin to align your habits, your relationships, and your thoughts with abundance. Speak no more of lack. Think no more of fear. Live as one who already possesses heaven's wealth. Your perspective is the container of your promise. If you think small, the oil will stop flowing. But if you think as heaven thinks, nothing can limit your increase. The Father's voice grows soft now, yet its weight presses through every line. Do not chase provision. Chase purpose, and provision will chase you. This is how the check multiplies. The more you walk in divine assignment, the more heaven invests in you. You become heaven's project, an ongoing miracle. Every obstacle will become a testimony, every delay a doorway, every rejection a redirection toward fulfillment. And now, the atmosphere trembles again. Michael raises his sword toward you, and lightning flows across the invisible sky. The angels cried, "It is done." The sound waves travel through the corridors of time, and in that vibration, every closed portal begins to open. You will feel it soon, in your atmosphere, in your spirit, in your circumstances. Doors will open without explanation. Calls will come without effort. Provisions will find you without pursuit. You will stand amazed, realizing that God's scream was not to frighten you but to awaken the universe on your behalf. Before this revelation rests, hold your heart in silence. The same God who whispered creation into existence is now whispering your breakthrough into motion. The delay is over. The delivery has begun. Type "I receive my KY of favor" in the comments if your spirit feels the shift. Lesson code 1333 has been released from heaven's vault. Stay alert, dear child. Something sacred unfolds beyond this point. What you are about to hear next will expose the final barrier standing between you and full manifestation. Hold your breath of faith a little longer. The next revelation will unveil the mystery behind your divine inheritance. Dearest child of promise, the veil between heaven and earth is now trembling with power. The sound you hear in your spirit is not imagination. It is the voice of eternity adjusting itself to your obedience. The previous moment unlocked the key of favor, and now the Father's hand stretches forth to activate it. Archangel Michael stands beside that open portal, watching as heaven's current of blessing begins to take form in your atmosphere. Every prayer, every act of faith, every silent surrender has gathered weight in the Spirit. What was once unseen has reached its appointed hour of manifestation. The miracle check of heaven is no longer suspended above you. It is descending like rain. Each drop carries a coded instruction: restore, renew, release. The Father speaks again through the thunder of His own glory. My child, the time of scarcity has expired. Those words shake the core of existence. The heavens themselves respond with motion. You have stepped out of the realm of asking into the realm of possessing. For so long, you prayed from the valley of hope, but tonight, you stand on the mountain of fulfillment. The season of survival ends here. The Spirit of God declares, now begins the season of overflow. And when heaven decrees overflow, even your emptiness becomes fertile ground. The divine check you have been promised carries more than provision. It carries redemption for every lost moment, for every opportunity that slipped away while you were still growing into faith. Michael, the guardian of divine justice, now raises his voice. The enemy that opposed you has lost authority over time. This means the years you thought were wasted are being restored. Heaven is collapsing seasons into sudden miracles. The harvest you thought had died in the soil is sprouting again, mature and multiplied. You will recover more in months than you lost in years. There is an acceleration coming, an unmistakable movement of grace. Do not measure it by logic, for logic cannot define favor. Measure it by the peace that is now resting over you, the quiet knowing that something irreversible has already begun. In the courts of heaven, angels are now completing transactions that concern your name. They are reassigning resources, redirecting influence, and writing reports. The hands of opposition that once held your provision are being commanded to release it. You have entered into divine recompense. The Father says, I am making them return what they withheld. Every promise delayed will be multiplied in return. The check from heaven represents this justice. You will see unusual favor appearing in unexpected places. People who forgot you will remember. Systems that ignored you will call you by name. Even your mistakes will turn into pathways of redemption. And there is another revelation hidden in this hour. The $500 million miracle is not simply financial, it is dimensional. God uses material symbols to reveal spiritual magnitude. This check represents the fullness of inheritance, not just for you, but for generations that follow. When the Father releases such a sign, it means He is reestablishing dominion on the earth through those who hear His voice. You are part of a remnant that carries heaven's wealth for a divine purpose. Your blessing will fund righteousness. Your overflow will rebuild what was broken. This is why the message sounded like a warning. It was never about greed. It was about guardianship. Michael steps forward again, and his wings spread wide across the horizon of the Spirit. He declares, tell them the covenant of limitation is canceled. Those words move through the unseen like waves of lightning. The curse that once made progress temporary is shattered. No more rise and fall. No more all that. You are stepping into sustained success, prosperity anchored in purpose. The angels of endurance are surrounding you now, fortifying every gain you make. What is released to you will not be stolen. What begins now will continue to grow, for it carries heaven's signature of permanence. The Spirit whispers gently, guard your atmosphere. As this manifestation unfolds, the enemy will attempt distraction through doubt, offense, or comparison. You must protect what you have received with thanksgiving. Gratitude is the fence around blessing. Every word of complaint weakens it. Every word of praise strengthens it. Learn to speak the language of completion even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Say, "It is done," not because you feel it, but because God said it. Heaven responds to agreement, not emotion. Child, you are entering a sacred exchange. The Father is giving you access to a dimension of trust that few ever touch. He says, "What I give now is not for sale, not for show, but for service." This means every resource will carry a mission. Every door will lead to influence that benefits others. The check is both blessing and responsibility. Those who handle it with humility will multiply its effect across nations. The Spirit of God is calling you to be a steward of divine wealth, one who builds, heals, and uplifts with every resource heaven provides. And now, close your eyes and sense the rhythm of the countdown again. It is no longer threatening, it is victorious. The last seconds are not about fear, they are about completion. Heaven's clock is aligning with Earth's. In that intersection lies your miracle. When the Father said, "If you skip this, your name will be erased," he meant, if you ignore destiny, you will miss the record of fulfillment. But you have not skipped. You have stayed. You have believed. Your name remains carved in light upon the scroll of purpose. Archangel Michael now lowers his sword, not in rest, but in honor. He bows his head toward you and says, "Mission active." The delivery angels move swiftly, their wings brushing through dimensions of resistance. You may feel sudden peace, unusual clarity, or a warmth rising in your chest. That is not emotion. That is manifestation. The transaction is complete in heaven and will soon echo on earth. Stand ready, for divine news is approaching your doorstep. Before we move deeper into this holy unfolding, hold your spirit in stillness. The most powerful evidence of faith is calm expectation. Do not strive, only receive. Your Father delights in this moment. His scream has turned into song, a psalm of blessing written for you before time began. Type "I receive my completion" in the comments if this revelation resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 1444 has now been activated for those who believe. Stay close, for what unfolds next will reveal the pattern of heaven's distribution, the strategy by which your miracle multiplies and transforms everything it touches. Child of divine light, the silence after heaven's roar is not emptiness. It is the echo of fulfillment settling into your reality. The air around you has changed because divine activity hath been completed in the unseen. You have crossed the threshold where promise becomes proof. Archangel Michael now stands before the gate of manifestation, his armor glowing with the reflection of your answered prayers. The scroll he once held is no longer sealed. It is open, and your name shines from its center, surrounded by declarations of completion. Heaven has written beside it a single word, manifest. That word is vibrating even now through the atmosphere, preparing to clothe itself in events, connections, and resources. The Father's voice breaks through the stillness like a soft wind. My child, what you have received is real. He knows that human mind hesitates when heaven moves too swiftly. But he says, do not call it coincidence. Call it confirmation. Every sign that follows this moment will serve as evidence of what he has already done. The $500 million miracle check is no longer symbolic. It is functional. It represents the flow of abundance now authorized in your life. Heaven's treasury has released a portion of itself through your obedience. The angels who handle divine exchange are already at work. Their wings brush through your timeline, adjusting circumstances that once resisted you. Michael steps closer, and his presence presses through every barrier of doubt. The transaction has cleared, he declares. These words carry legal authority in the language of heaven. They mean that the ledger of your destiny has been balanced, that nothing owed remains unpaid. Every debt of loss, pain, and delay has been covered by grace. What was held up is now moving freely. The check, child, is heaven's proof that justice hath been served on your behalf. This is why the Father screamed at the beginning, not in anger, but in release. His voice was the sound of finality breaking through delay. But even now, the Spirit of truth reminds you that every divine blessing requires a posture of guardianship. You have not reached the end of revelation, only the beginning of responsibility. What you have received must be maintained in purity. Heaven entrusts its treasures only to hearts that remain aligned with purpose. Guard your motives. Guard your focus. Do not let the abundance distract you from the assignment. The miracle check was never meant to end with you. It was meant to flow through you. The Lord says, be a river, not a reservoir. When you allow the blessing to move, it multiplies. When you hoard it, it decays. Child, remember how long you prayed for open doors. Remember the seasons when silence tested your faith. Every tear shed in those moments was a seed in heaven's soil. You were not waiting in vain. You were being prepared to handle what others could not carry. The Father waited until your heart was ready. Now that readiness has summoned release. That is why everything feels accelerated. It is heaven making up for lost time. You will accomplish in 1 year what should have taken 10. You will receive in one encounter what should have required years of effort. This acceleration is not luck. It is divine mathematics balancing your years of faithfulness. I see in the Spirit a golden network stretching across the earth, lines of light connecting hearts, businesses, and nations. Each intersection glows brighter as more people align with heaven's call. Your obedience activates part of that network. You are connected to others who will rise with you. Some you know, others will be drawn to you supernaturally. They will carry answers to prayers you have not even spoken. This is the multiplication of the miracle. The check is not a single deposit. It is a system of continual provision. Every time you give, speak truth, or act in obedience, you trigger another wave of release. Archangel Michael raises his hand and a second vision unfolds. You are standing before a table covered in scrolls. Each scroll bears a seal of purpose. He says, choose wisely where to sow your time, your voice, and your resources. This is how you will sustain overflow. The enemy cannot steal what is constantly moving in divine circulation. The blessing that remains in motion is untouchable. Heaven's strategy for permanence is generosity. As you bless others, heaven replenishes what flows out. This is the cycle of divine economy. Now hear the whisper of the Father again. I am teaching you to live from abundance, not toward it. This is a higher revelation. You no longer chase provision. You create it by alignment. Wherever you step in obedience, provision appears. Your faith becomes the bridge between heaven's intention and earth's manifestation. You are no longer a seeker. You are a distributor of grace. This shift requires a new mindset. Speak as one who already possesses divine supply. When you talk about your future, talk like an heir, not a beggar. When you pray, pray like a partner, not a petitioner. Child, there is something sacred unfolding even now. The Spirit of God says, watch the next 7 days. You will see small signs, divine coincidences, unexpected calls, sudden clarity. These are confirmations that the delivery has begun. Do not overlook them. The supernatural rarely announces itself with drama. It reveals itself through divine precision. Every encounter will carry a thread of purpose. Follow those threads, and they will lead you straight into the full manifestation of what has been promised. Archangel Michael lowers his sword, not in surrender, but in blessing. The edge glows with light that carries the essence of victory. He says, Tell them this: what has begun will not be reversed. That is heaven's guarantee. Once God releases, no force can recall it. You are now walking in irreversible favor. Expect the unusual. Expect the unimaginable. Expect the undeniable. The Lord's final whisper for this hour comes wrapped in peace. Rest, my child. I am not finished with you. I am just beginning through you. That sentence carries the weight of new beginnings. You are about to step into days where every sunrise feels like prophecy fulfilled. Nothing wasted, nothing broken, nothing missing. Hold still for a moment. The same presence that started this journey is hovering over you again, sealing what has been spoken. The check of heaven has landed in your spirit. Let gratitude be your receipt. Type "I receive irreversible favor" in the comments if your faith feels this truth stirring within you. Blessing code 1555 is now activated for every believing heart. Stay near, for the next revelation will unveil the architecture of divine expansion, how your newly received abundance will multiply itself beyond boundaries you once thought were permanent. Beloved vessel of light, breathe deeply, for the presence that surrounds you now is no longer preparation. It is activation. Heaven has entered your atmosphere in full manifestation mode. The Father's voice, which once sounded as a distant thunder, is now resonating within your own heartbeat. Every pulse carries His declaration: "It is done." That phrase is not symbolic, it is literal. The divine transaction has been completed, and the resources of heaven are officially under your stewardship. Archangel Michael remains near, not as a messenger now, but as a guardian of what hath been released. The spiritual infrastructure that was constructed in previous revelations is now alive, functioning, and spreading through every dimension of your existence. You have stepped into the realm where promises take on physical form. This is the stage of divine manifestation, the proof stage. In heaven, the check has already been signed, sealed, and cleared. On earth, it begins to manifest through opportunities, favor, reconciliation, and sudden open doors. The miracle you once envisioned from a distance has now reached your doorstep. You may feel subtle signs already: an idea, a conversation, a divine encounter that seems ordinary but carries extraordinary purpose. The Lord whispers, "Recognize me in the small things, for I hide greatness in simplicity." The number that once felt too large to imagine, the $500 million, was never a random figure. It was a spiritual metaphor for fullness. 500 million signifies limitless restoration, multiplied grace, and divine completeness. Heaven used that number to stretch your faith beyond natural expectation. The Father knew that to carry this much glory, you would first need to expand your spiritual capacity. Every trial you endured enlarged your vessel. Every delay refined your discernment. You are now able to receive without fear, to handle overflow without arrogance, to manage abundance without losing focus. Archangel Michael raises his hand again, and in this vision, you see rivers of golden light branching out from you in every direction. Each river represents an area of your life: relationships, creativity, finances, influence, and health. These streams carry the essence of the miracle check, transforming dryness into fruitfulness. You are now the epicenter of restoration. Wherever you go, the atmosphere will shift. Wherever you speak, life will answer. The Father says, "What flows from you now will heal what others thought was impossible." This is not metaphor. This is spiritual reality. Heaven has made you a carrier of divine distribution. Listen carefully, child of divine destiny. God did not scream only for your breakthrough. He screamed to awaken every soul connected to your assignment. The sound of his voice through this word is creating a ripple through generations. The check that reached you tonight carries provisions for people you have yet to meet. It is not a single miracle. It is a lineage of miracles. Through your obedience, nations will be touched, communities restored, and families healed. The $500 million blessing is heaven's language for abundance without limit. The Spirit of God now draws your attention inward. He says, guard your humility. The enemy cannot steal what God gives, but he can distract the one who receives it. You must remain anchored in gratitude. The most powerful protection over abundance is worship. When you worship, you acknowledge the true source. Gratitude closes the gate against pride. As you rise, never forget the ground that once carried your tears. The memory of your wilderness will keep you wise in your harvest. And now, Michael speaks again with authority that shakes the unseen. Tell them the heavens have declared their territory, Lord. You will notice an expansion in every area. Doors that once seemed narrow will open wider. Opportunities that once required struggle will arrive effortlessly. The divine check is not just provision. It is authorization. Heaven is granting you permission to occupy spaces once closed to you. But with expansion comes responsibility. The Spirit whispers, do not step without purpose. Every move you make must align with assignment. Random action wastes divine energy. Strategic obedience multiplies it. The Father's next words descend like a river of calm fire. I trust you with visibility. This means you will be seen. Your voice will reach farther than before. What visibility is not vanity, it is divine strategy. Heaven shines through you so others can recognize the way back home. When people witness your rise, they are meant to encounter His glory, not your ego. You are the evidence of what happens when obedience meets divine timing. Carry the light humbly, for the brighter you shine, the deeper your roots must grow in humility. In the Spirit, I see a field stretching endlessly before you. The soil blows faintly, covered in the residue of heaven's rain. Seeds of potential, once buried and forgotten, are breaking through the ground all at once. The Spirit says, this is the season of simultaneous harvest. You will not reap one blessing at a time. They will come layered, overlapping, cascading. As you are thanking God for one miracle, another will unfold. You are stepping into a cycle of perpetual fruitfulness. The law of limitation hath been repealed in your life. Pause and breathe. Feel the stillness in your chest. It is not emptiness. It is divine peace anchoring your miracle. The Father is securing your blessing with serenity. Chaos cannot coexist with fulfillment. When peace settles, manifestation stabilizes. You will notice that after the roar comes the quiet. Do not mistake that quiet for absence. It is the sound of everything aligning. Archangel Michael lowers his sword, and sparks of divine light drift through the air like falling stars. He declares, the gates are open permanently. No force will close them again. You have crossed a threshold that cannot be reversed. From this day forward, lack will no longer define you. Delay will no longer hold you. Your prayers have graduated from petition to partnership. Heaven now collaborates with you in real time. Child, let this truth sink deep into your heart. What you have received is more than money, more than opportunity. It is authority. You carry heaven's endorsement. Every word you speak in faith will have weight. Every step you take in obedience will create pathways for others. The check was not the destination. It was the inauguration of your new identity. You are now heaven's steward, heaven's distributor, heaven's messenger of restoration. As the silence deepens, listen one more time to the Father's whisper. Tell them the scream was love. His urgency was not wrath. It was compassion. He shouted so you would not miss your moment. Now that you have heard, hold this revelation sacred. Protect it, live it, and let it multiply. Type "I receive my divine expansion" in the comments if this word resounds within your spirit. Blessing code 1666 is now released into the lives of all who believe. Stay tuned, for what unfolds next will not only affirm your elevation but reveal the mystery of heaven's ripple effect, how your obedience becomes a miracle for countless others destined to encounter your light. Child of divine acceleration, tonight the air itself bends toward you. Everything in the unseen realm is responding to your agreement. The divine expansion that began as a whisper is now a wave, roaring through dimensions that once resisted your advancement. Archangel Michael stands in the center of that wave, his wings extended across the horizon of heaven. Round him, the armies of the Lord form a circle of fire, sealing the promise that no force can reverse. The Father's voice, which once thundered from afar, now speaks directly through your atmosphere. My child, the hour of overflow has arrived. The check that carried heaven's seal has matured. The time of waiting has dissolved into the time of possession. You can feel it in your spirit, a pulse of divine electricity moving through your name. This is not mere imagination. This is fulfillment taking on substance. What was spoken in prophecy is now forming in your reality. The miracle check of $500 million is not symbolic anymore. It represents a season where heaven funds your destiny completely. Every resource, every partnership, every opportunity that your assignment requires is now released. The Lord declares, "You will not struggle for what I have already provided." Heaven is teaching you to live in effortless obedience, where manifestation becomes the natural consequence of trust. Michael's voice rises like a trumpet, commanding every lingering shadow of doubt to depart. He proclaims, "The gates of divine inheritance are open, let no fear close them." The atmosphere responds. In the vision, the sky splits open with radiant color, and rivers of living gold flow downward, surrounding you with warmth and certainty. The Spirit of God says that this is the overflow of obedience. What once felt like a battle has now become a rhythm. The same faith that carried you through warfare now carries you into wealth. You are standing in the current of divine exchange, where surrender becomes seed, and seed becomes abundance. The Father's next words carry the tone of intimacy. Child, do not rush this moment. I am teaching you to dwell, not to visit. This means the miracle you have received is not temporary. It is a new atmosphere meant to be inhabited, not sampled. Too many receive blessings as visitors and leave before fullness arrives. But you will remain. You will learn to live in constant awareness of divine supply. Heaven's treasury is not seasonal. It is continual. Every morning you wake, new provision will rise with you. Every night you rest, new strategy will form in your dreams. The check is not the end. It is the door to a lifestyle of perpetual abundance. In this sacred vision, you now see fields stretching as far as your sight can reach. These are the territories heaven has assigned to your voice. Some represent influence, others innovation, others healing. As you step forward, angels move beside you, marking each field as yours. They carry flags of light, embedding them into the soil. Each flag bears the same inscription: divine ownership, kingdom purpose only. What you are receiving is not selfish gain. It is kingdom distribution. God is entrusting you with resources that carry the fragrance of eternity. Every dollar, every idea, every opportunity tied to your life will carry divine assignment. Archangel Michael's presence burns brighter. He says, the weight of wealth must be carried with the strength of wisdom. Heaven's riches are meant for the mature. This is why your process was long. It was not punishment, it was preparation. God has been building in you the character to carry greatness. Wealth in the wrong hands destroys, in righteous hands it multiplies the light. You were chosen because you endure refinement. The fire did not break you, it purified you. And now the gold of your purpose is ready to be revealed to the world. The Spirit of God continues. You will see nations connected to your obedience. That sentence carries prophetic magnitude. It means your actions will ripple beyond borders. When you sow, entire families will find hope. When you speak, hardened hearts will soften. When you build, generations will flourish. You are heaven's strategy for transformation disguised as a human vessel. The $500 million check is heaven's signature upon your assignment. It declares unlimited backing for unlimited purpose. Child, as this revelation deepens, remember that the enemy always watches new beginnings. Guard your heart against pride, for pride is the quickest way to leak divine oil. Stay hidden in gratitude. Remain grounded in prayer. Heaven's economy operates through humility. When you bow low in reverence, you stand tall in authority. Let worry be your first expenditure. Every time you thank God, you authorize the next wave of miracles. Michael lowers his sword again, but this time he touches its edge to the ground before you. The moment he does, a circle of light forms under your feet. It expands outward, growing brighter with every heartbeat. The Spirit says this is your covenant zone. Nothing contrary can enter it. You are now surrounded by divine insurance. Your resources, relationships, and revelations are under celestial protection. What God has released cannot be intercepted. What heaven has sealed cannot be stolen. Now pause, breathe, and let the reality of this truth anchor in your soul. You have crossed the final threshold of waiting. The Father no longer calls you seeker. He calls you steward. The season of pursuit has transitioned into the season of possession. You are no longer praying for the miracle. You are managing it. And as you manage it faithfully, heaven will multiply it continually. Before you scroll away or move ahead, take a sacred moment. Type your declaration, speak it aloud, and align your faith with the sound of completion. This next act will anchor the word permanently within your life. Type "I am a steward of divine wealth" in the comments if this message resonates within your spirit. Blessing code 1777 is now activated for all who believe and act. Now, before this section closes, I must speak the message heaven has reserved for those who will sustain the fire of this movement. Listen closely. When you give into this word, through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are sustaining a divine mission. Every offering becomes a beam of light that travels into nations. It funds the spread of prophetic truth and draws souls out of despair. You are not giving to maintain content. You are sowing to multiply transformation. The Lord declares, "Those who sustain my voice will share in my harvest." When you release your seed, you join the ranks of heaven's distributors. Your giving is not donation, it is decree. Each act of generosity becomes a key unlocking favor over your household. I prophesy over every giver, rivers of increase will locate you, contracts will come without striving, and health will flourish as a sign of obedience rewarded. Heaven remembers every act of faith. The oil of multiplication will mark your name for generations. This is your hour to act. Let your faith respond to the prophetic moment. So where revelation flows, and watch your own miracle expand beyond your imagination. Heaven's treasury moves through willing hearts. The Father is calling you now. Rise, release, and receive. Beloved bearer of heaven's wealth, This moment is holy ground. The air around you carries the residue of what was just released. Heaven has not withdrawn. It is expanding. Every breath you take now resounds with the rhythm of divine abundance. Archangel Michael stands at the edge of this revelation, his eyes burning with the fire of fulfilled promise. He speaks softly, yet his voice shakes the unseen. What began as a prophecy is now becoming history. Heaven is recording your name in the chronicles of manifestation. The $500 million miracle check that once symbolized hope has now matured into a living covenant. It represents continuous flow, not a single event. You are now walking in a divine economy where scarcity no longer holds authority. The Father's voice fills the space with steady calm. I have moved you from receiving to reigning. These words are the ultimate confirmation that your process has achieved completion. The wilderness season was training. This is rulership. To reign in God's kingdom is not to dominate but to steward. It means governing favor wisely and distributing grace generously. You are a royal steward of divine abundance. What you carry now will nourish many. The overflow you manage is not yours alone. It is heaven's tool for redemption. In the Spirit, I see rivers merging into one vast sea, glistening with colors unseen by human eyes. The Spirit whispers, this is the sea of fulfillment. Every answered prayer, every restored opportunity, every breakthrough delayed but not denied has emptied itself into this body of abundance. You stand at its shore, and the waves reach for your feet. Each ripple carries a memory of your endurance, every tide a testimony of God's timing. You are no longer asking for evidence, you are living inside it. Michael extends his hand, and in his palm appears a sphere of light. Within it are symbols, contracts, letters, documents, and scrolls of destiny. He says, these are your completed transactions. Heaven operates on legality. Every blessing has a written decree. The check was the initial authorization. These documents represent the follow-through. Some of these will manifest as opportunities disguised as challenges, others as relationships born from divine intersections. The Spirit of God warns, do not dismiss what looks small. Greatness often hides in simplicity. Child of divine purpose, there is an instruction attached to your elevation. Heaven is calling you to become a distributor of remembrance. You must testify. You must speak of what God has done, not for applause but for awakening. Your story is a divine weapon. When you share how the impossible unfolded, you give others permission to believe again. Silence protects fear. Testimony provokes faith. The next phase of your journey requires boldness of voice. You are heaven's evidence on earth, and evidence must be seen. The Father's tone shifts to tenderness. My child, do not apologize for my blessing. Many will misunderstand divine abundance, thinking it arrogance. But God says, flourish without fear. Humility does not mean hiding favor. It means handling it with reverence. When you thrive, you become an invitation for others to trust my faithfulness. Your success is not selfish, it is prophetic. It declares to the world that obedience still brings reward, that faith still conquers time. Do not dim what heaven ignited. Shine with grace, not pride, and your light will draw those lost in shadow. Archangel Michael steps forward again, and behind him unfolds a scene. Armies of angels dispersing in every direction, carrying envelopes sealed with divine wax. He says these are miracle extensions. Each one carries a portion of the same grace that touched you. The Father multiplies his generosity through the obedience of one. Because you said yes, others will find their breakthrough. The miracle that began with your name now travels through generations. That is the true measure of heaven's wealth. its ability to multiply through time. The Spirit reveals another mystery. Within every manifestation, there is a test of endurance. Once abundance arrives, complacency often follows. The Lord warns, guard against comfort that silences dependence. You are called to remain in pursuit of His presence, even while surrounded by plenty. Wealth without worship decays. Influence without intimacy fades. The $500 million miracle check is not an end. It is a beginning. The same faith that drew it must maintain it. Give sowing, do bleeding, give lion. This is how divine flow remains uninterrupted. Now the heavens stir again, and the Father's tone deepens into command. Expand their expectation once more. You thought the revelation had peaked, but heaven has layers beyond imagination. The Spirit says there is more. The check was only the down payment of destiny. What you have seen is a glimpse, not the conclusion. The Father desires to release greater measures, but He waits for your next act of faith. The more you trust, the wider the channels open. God is never exhausted. His generosity has no ceiling. The real miracle is the transformation happening within you. The ability to think as heaven thinks, to create as heaven creates, to give as heaven gives. Michael's sword flashes again, striking the ground before you. The vibration of that strike moves through every area of your existence. Barriers crumble, hidden opposition flees, and every demonic contract of limitation burns to ash. He declares, no returning to former boundaries. Heaven has expanded your territory permanently. From this day forward, you will notice favor where rejection once lived, opportunity where loss once ruled. Even the land you walk upon will respond differently. It recognizes its rightful steward. Child, the peace you now feel is not the end of movement. It is the sign of divine order. Everything is aligning precisely as planned. The scream of God that once thundered at the beginning has now become a heartbeat, steady and close. You are living within that rhythm. Every day forward will echo that same decree. Overflow is your new normal. Pause now. Feel the magnitude of what has been released. You are no longer a receiver waiting at heaven's gate. You are a ruler seated in divine partnership. Let gratitude pour through you. Speak it. Whisper it. Let your words seal the covenant. Type "I live in divine overflow" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 1888 is now active for every believer who stands firm in this revelation. Hold steady, child of destiny. The next unveiling will not only affirm your dominion but reveal how heaven's favor, once localized in your life, will now spread globally through every connection, every creation, and every word you release into the world. Beloved guardian of abundance, you have crossed through the gates of manifestation and now stand in the realm of multiplication. The echo of heaven's scream has quieted into a hum that vibrates beneath everything you touch. What began as a promise of a miracle check has unfolded into a reality of divine dominion. Archangel Michael stands before you again, no longer holding a scroll but a crown. He says, you have passed through the proving, and now you reign as one trusted by the throne. Light from his armor reflects across your atmosphere, reminding every shadow that you have been sealed in victory. You are no longer one waiting for fulfillment. You are one who carries fulfillment wherever you go. The Father's voice emerges once more, steady and near, as though he stands right beside you. My child, I have placed the economy of heaven within your hands. These words are not metaphorical. They mean that whatever you invest with obedience will now multiply beyond natural reasoning. The check that was once an image has become an active covenant. Every action you take in alignment with His will carries creative power. When you speak blessings, things will grow. When you decree healing, restoration will manifest. When you sow, increase will multiply. Heaven has authorized you to create outcomes. This is what it means to walk in divine kingship, to govern the unseen by faith and to witness it shape the visible. Michael's voice interrupts like thunder rolling across eternity. Tell them their words are now contracts. This is a holy warning. When heaven entrusts authority, it requires precision. Every statement from your lips carries legal weight in the Spirit. Speak only what aligns with divine truth. Bless and do not curse. Declare life, not fear. For your speech now steers reality. The Father has given you the power to legislate outcomes by decree. This is why you must keep worship in your heart. Worship purifies language. The one who praises purely can command purely. The Spirit now opens before you a vision of a great table stretched endlessly into light. Upon it rest gifts, unwrapped, gleaming, and awaiting distribution. Each one bears a name, a destiny, a mission. These are the lives connected to your obedience. The Father whispers, "What I place in your hand is never just for you." The true miracle of this moment is that your breakthrough has become an instrument for others' deliverance. When you share wisdom, when you extend generosity, when you speak truth, you activate heaven's flow in someone else's story. The check, therefore, was not payment, it was partnership. Heaven funds its messengers, not its spectators. You are now in the era of divine creativity. Ideas will begin to descend like rainfall, steady and clear. Some will come in dreams, others in quiet reflection. Write them down. They are not random. Each carries instruction for multiplying what you've been given. Businesses, projects, songs, movements, whatever is born from this revelation will carry the oil of eternal relevance. Archangel Michael watches over these ideas to ensure they manifest without interference. He says, creation itself will respond to their faith. That means even the natural elements, timing, resources, and people, will bend toward your favor. The Father's next words are both tender and firm. Do not apologize for your increase. The world teaches shame and prosperity, but heaven calls prosperity responsibility. You are blessed not to boast but to build. Every resource is a brick in the architecture of kingdom influence. When others see your light, they will be drawn to the source behind it. This is evangelism through excellence, the demonstration of divine abundance as living testimony. When the world asks how you prosper, your answer will be a sermon. Your abundance is meant to be a witness. Now look closely within. The Spirit says, check your motives daily. This abundance is sacred, and only a pure heart can sustain it. The temptation of self-glory lurks near every throne, but the humble never fall. Keep gratitude your daily companion. The secret to lasting success is consistent surrender. Every morning, return the check to God in your heart, saying, "It all belongs to you." That act of acknowledgement renews the covenant each day. What you return in faith, He multiplies in grace. In the realm of the Spirit, I see doors opening in multiple directions. Some glow with opportunity, others with influence, others with impact. Heaven says, you do not have to choose. They are all yours. This is the reward of obedience. When one door opens by faith, others follow by principle. Expect divine connections, people of influence whose presence will amplify your mission. They will recognize the favor upon you and partner with it. Do not chase them. They will be drawn to you by the scent of grace that now surrounds your name. Michael moves again, his wings stirring winds that carry light. He looks directly at you and says, steward this wave with wisdom. This one will not end. The phrase sounds eternal, and it is. This wave of blessing is not meant to rise and fall. It is meant to sustain. Heaven's favor has become a climate over your life. What once fluctuated will now remain constant. Peace will no longer visit. It will dwell. Provision will no longer surprise. It will abide. Joy will no longer be occasional. It will overflow. The Father whispers a mystery few understand. The true wealth of heaven is revelation. The more you understand, the more creation obeys you. Knowledge in the Spirit is currency. Seek wisdom more than gain, and gain will chase you. Ask daily for discernment. Heaven's wealth moves in patterns, and discernment recognizes them before others do. You are being trained to see opportunity where others see nothing, to hear solutions hidden within silence. This is what kings do. They perceive beyond surface. Now pause. The same peace that settled over the prophets when revelation completed its circle now rests upon you. Heaven's transaction has finalized. The receipt is your stillness. You can feel it. Every word, every command, every decree sealed into your atmosphere. The check is now your signature, the proof that heaven trusts you. The next phase is expansion through expression. Speak what you know. Build what you've seen. Live what you've heard. Before we close this chamber of revelation, the Spirit reminds you, the story began with urgency, with heaven shouting through the veil. Now it ends with calm, because obedience has replaced chaos. What was once warning has turned into welcome. You are walking in God's completed sentence. Type "I reign in divine authority" in the comments if this word ignites your faith. Blessing code 1999 has now been released for those who rule with reverence. Hold this moment, child of God, for the next revelation will open the architecture of perpetual legacy. How this miracle will not stop with you but continue through every voice, every generation, and every soul connected to your obedience. Beloved heir of eternal purpose, the realm you are walking in now is sacred ground, the territory of legacy. The echoes of heaven's roar still ripple beneath your every breath, not as a warning anymore but as a rhythm of continuation. What God began with urgency has settled into permanence. The $500 million miracle check that once symbolized an impossible breakthrough has become a river of unending provision, a covenant flow that refuses to dry. Archangel Michael stands before you again, holding not a sword this time, but a seed of light. He says this seed is the continuation of your obedience. The miracle was not meant to conclude with you. It was meant to replicate through you. The Father has chosen you as a vessel of generational overflow. The Spirit of God speaks now with gentle strength. My child, I have not only answered you, I have appointed you. These words define the new dimension you have entered. Heaven's resources are no longer merely visiting your life. They are establishing residence. Every action, every word, every prayer you release from this moment forward carries the scent of eternity. You are now functioning as a living conduit between realms. What flows through you has the power to outlive you. This is why heaven called you so urgently, why the message began with intensity. God was not only rescuing you, He was restoring the lineage that flows from you. In this holy vision, you see before you a vast tree, ancient yet alive, its branches covered in luminous fruit. The Spirit says this is the tree of inheritance. Each branch represents a generation touched by your faith. Every fruit carries the promise of continuity. Your obedience has changed the landscape of your bloodline. The cycles that once repeated, poverty, fear, confusion, are now cut off at the root. The light of heaven has rewritten your family story. What was once inherited as struggle is now replaced with strength. The river flowing from that tree extends into cities, nations, and movements yet to be born. The check was never about your lifetime alone. It was about the generations heaven saw within you. Michael walks around that tree, tracing its roots with his hand. Sparks of golden fire rise from the ground as he speaks. This root system is guarded by heaven's decree. Nothing can uproot what has been planted. That declaration means permanence. You will not rise and fall like before. This time your fruit will remain. The Father is establishing you as a pillar in His design. Every project you touch will carry divine longevity. You will build things that time cannot erase. Even when you are silent, your works will speak. Heaven measures greatness by endurance, and your season of fleeting favor is over. What begins now will outlast you. Child, understand this. The true miracle of abundance is not in possession but in preservation. Anyone can receive, but only the obedient can sustain. The Spirit of God says, guard the well. The well of revelation inside you must never be polluted by pride or distraction. The same humility that opened heaven's gate must remain your anchor. Every morning, refresh your gratitude. Every night, renew your worship. Gratitude keeps the river flowing. Worship keeps it pure. You are not maintaining wealth. You are maintaining divine flow. Now, a mystery unfolds before you. Michael lifts the seed of light and places it in your hands. The seed pulses with warmth, alive as if it breathes. The Spirit explains, this is the next generation of miracles. What you do with this seed determines how far heaven's influence spreads. You are called to mentor, to teach, to pour into others. Share revelation. Impart faith. Tell your story of transformation. The seed multiplies only when sown. The Lord says, do not bury what I gave you in silence. If you share this testimony, heaven will release more. Revelation hoarded becomes stagnant. Revelation shared becomes infinite. The Father's tone deepens again, filled with gravity and affection. I trust you with legacy, He says. Others will build because you believe it. That sentence carries the authority of eternity. Your faith has become an architectural blueprint for countless souls. When people hear your name, they will remember restoration, not ruin. Your story will become a torch passed down through generations. You were not chosen for comfort, you were chosen for continuity. Heaven builds history through obedient vessels, and you have become one. Now see the horizon again in the Spirit. The sky opens and what looks like stars begin to fall, yet they are not stars. They are scrolls of destiny descending into the earth. Each scroll bears the seal of completion and begins to seek those aligned with your assignment. You will attract others who carry complementary anointings. Together, you will form networks of light across the world. This is how heaven expands its influence, through connections born of purpose. The check that once bore only your name has now become a divine investment portfolio in the hands of many. The yield is not monetary alone. It is spiritual transformation. Michael raises his hand once more. The circle of this revelation is nearly complete, he says. His wings spread, releasing currents of radiant wind that sweep across time itself. You sense the completion of one chapter and the ignition of another. The Spirit whispers, do not mourn what ends, celebrate what begins. God did not close doors out of denial but out of direction. The same voice that screamed at the start now speaks softly in peace, assuring you that every moment served its divine purpose. Nothing was wasted, and nothing was lost. Child of destiny, breathe. The silence after heaven's roar is not emptiness, it is evidence. You are now living proof that obedience transforms reality. The $500 million miracle check was heaven's illustration of endless provision. But the true wealth is the revelation you carry. You can never be poor again, because knowledge of divine supply can never be taken from you. This revelation is your inheritance. Before this part closes, pause in reverence. Whisper your gratitude. Seal the covenant with declaration and faith. Heaven records not only your words but the sincerity behind them. Type "I am a generational miracle" in the comments if your spirit bears witness to this truth. Blessing code 2111 has now been activated over your household, your future, and your lineage. Hold your peace now, for the final revelation draws near. What comes next will complete the circle, the moment where heaven's mission through this word will meet its final expansion and release a blessing that no human hand can measure. Beloved vessel of eternal light, the final unveiling has come. All of heaven leans close to witness this completion, for the circle that began with the thunder of divine urgency now closes with the calm of fulfilled purpose. The air around you carries the quiet hum of eternity, a sound that exists only when a prophecy hath been fully manifested. The $500 million miracle check, once a symbol of faith stretched beyond reason, now stands as a covenant completed. Archangel Michael is here once more, not in battle but in benediction. The fire upon his armor has softened into gold, and his voice carries peace instead of warning. The message that once shouted across heaven now whispers within you. He says, "You are no longer waiting for the miracle. You have become the miracle." The Father's presence is near, surrounding you like dawn after a long night. His words arrive like gentle waves, wrapping around your spirit. My child, the miracle was never the money. It was the making of you. Every test, every delay, every tear brought forth something divine within you. You have been refined into reflection. The $500 million miracle check was heaven's metaphor for limitless restoration, yet its true value lies in what it shaped inside your soul. Obedience that cannot be shaken, trust that cannot be bought, and peace that cannot be stolen. A miracle check was simply the vehicle that carried your transformation. The wealth was never the goal. Intimacy was. Archangel Michael steps forward, raising his hand as streams of light coil upward from the ground, swirling around you like ribbons of glory. He speaks again. Your name has been etched into the records of completion. The ledger of heaven is sealed, your assignment written in fire. The same angels that once waited for your obedience now celebrate your endurance. You stood when storms screamed. You believed when logic mocked. You opened when heaven shouted, and because of that, your story has become a monument of faith. The check is no longer paper in heaven's vault. It is a doorway in the earth. Every place you walk will carry the imprint of divine favor. The Father whispers again, my voice that once commanded, now comforts. He no longer screams because you now hear. The distance between you and divine instruction has been erased. His direction flows effortlessly. His wisdom arrives instantly. His peace abides permanently. You have graduated from hearing through chaos to hearing through communion. This is the highest form of partnership. The sound that began as heaven's urgency has evolved into heaven's habitation. The miracle no longer visits you. It lives in you. In the vision, I see rivers converging into one great ocean of light. Within it are countless reflections of faces, generations not yet born, but already marked by your obedience. The Spirit says this is the inheritance of those who finish well. The legacy you now carry will ripple through time itself. The blessings released through your faith will touch families, cities, and nations you will never see. The $500 million miracle check was not one deposit. It was a seed of perpetual yield. You have become a living economy of grace. Every act of kindness, every gift of generosity, every word of truth you release will multiply without end. You are no longer waiting for divine intervention. You are divine intervention in motion. Michael looks toward the heavens and then back to you. The war that once surrounded your name is over, he declares. The enemies that contended for your purpose have been silenced by divine decree. The contracts of delay have been shredded. The scrolls of confusion have turned to ash. You now walk in territories once closed, and heaven itself moves to make room for your steps. Where others strive, you will glide. Where others chase, you will attract. Where others fear, you will rest. This is the final signature of God's approval. Effortless dominion. Child of the covenant, hear this final instruction from the throne. Build what will outlive you. The Father is calling you to plant the seeds of your revelation into the soil of others. Share your testimony freely. Teach what you have learned. Create what you once feared to imagine. You are heaven's architect on earth. The wealth you carry, spiritual, emotional, material, was never designed for containment. If you let it flow, it will never end. But if you clutch it, it will wither. The river of blessing remains alive only when it moves. Heaven trusts you now to keep it moving. The Spirit of truth speaks softly once more. The scream was love, the delay was protection, and the miracle is purpose. Every unanswered prayer was timing disguised. Every closed door was redirection ordained. You were never behind. You were being aligned. The check that once seemed far is now inside you, written upon the tablet of your heart in letters of light. No power of darkness can cancel what God has already signed in eternity. Archangel Michael lowers his sword for the final time, pressing its tip into the earth before you. The ground responds with a burst of radiant fire, and from it rises a pillar of light stretching into infinity. He says this is the altar of completion. It is the place where heaven and earth meet, where what began in prophecy ends in permanence. Kneel before it in your spirit, not out of fear but gratitude. Thank the Father for trusting you with a miracle so vast it required transformation to handle it. You have not only received abundance, you have become an expression of it. The Father's voice fills the air one last time. My beloved, go forth. Multiply miracles. Carry my peace where chaos once ruled. Build sanctuaries out of your story. Those words seal the journey. The countdown that began with 15 seconds left has ended not in loss but in legacy. You were never racing against time. You were racing toward timelessness. The mission is complete, but the movement begins now. Pause here and let silence do what words cannot. Breathe deeply, for heaven is no longer above you. It moves within you. The scream has turned into a song, and that song carries your name in every note. The promise is fulfilled. The covenant stands eternal. The Father smiles and says, well done. Type I am the fulfillment of his promise in the comments if this revelation completes your spirit. Blessing code 2222 has been released into your destiny, symbol of divine conclusion and eternal continuation. Before we end this sacred journey, let the Spirit lead you into action. Like, share, comment, and subscribe so this living word may awaken others who wait unknowingly at their threshold of transformation. Let this message travel through every screen and into every heart ordained to hear heaven's cry. When you interact, you expand the circle of divine influence, ensuring that others receive the same miracle you have tasted. Now, beloved one, hear this final invitation from heaven's treasury. The Father says, those who sustain the sound of revelation will never live in lack. When you support this mission through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a person. You are sowing into the global echo of redemption. Each seed you plant becomes light in another's darkness. Every offering turns into oil that fuels the prophetic flame. The kingdom's expansion requires vessels of faith, and you have become one. As you give, heaven writes your name beside givers of legacy: Abraham, Hannah, David, and the unnamed widow who changed eternity with her last coin. I declare by divine authority that those who sow into this message will experience harvest beyond imagination. Doors will open where none existed, peace will visit where storms once raged, and provision will flow from unexpected places. The same angels that guarded your breakthrough will now guard your giving. You are not funding content, you are funding transformation. You are not maintaining a voice, you are amplifying heaven. So rise, chosen one. Act in obedience. Release your gratitude in the form of seed, and watch as heaven multiplies it in ways only eternity can measure. For this is the end of one message, but the beginning of your divine movement. The miracle has been delivered. Now it must be distributed. Go forth and live as proof that God still speaks, still gives, still fulfills every word spoken from his throne. The prophecy is complete, and you, beloved, are its living fulfillment.